can't get any words. Podcasts don't last, giving you the real talk, no holding back. Can't get any worse, we'll make you see. There's always a silver lining. We'll set you free, so join the movement. Let's change the game with the Can't Get Any Worse podcast.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Can't Get Any Worse podcast. How are we all today? I hope we are all well. My lord, it is good to be back in the studio. It has been a minute, but hey, we're not going to talk about that right now because we all know what we're gathered here for today. We are here for our UFC 323 breakdown, and that is happening in Las Vegas in the States, ladies and gentlemen, in T-Mobile Arena. So this is our last UFC event for the year. Not our last UFC pay-per-view, last UFC event altogether, you know what I mean? And my lord, has this year flown by. It has gone so fucking quick. But hey, that's not going to stop us breaking down the fights, you know what I mean? I think the camera's slightly offset, so I am going to kick that with... Oh, that was way too much kick. Anyway, sorry, I just held my hands up there to see if I was somewhat centered. You know what? We're just rolling with it, ladies and gentlemen. Whatever's captured on this screen right now, that's what we're fucking getting. But let's rip into a bit of news and gossip in the UFC world before we crack into this pretty crazy card. So, it's been announced this week, ladies and gentlemen. I am so keen for this. I'm gonna kick off with the one that I'm most excited about because, to be honest, okay, here's what it is, okay? Obviously, Dana and the UFC did the big TV rights deal with Paramount. So as of next year, there's no more pay-per-view model. We're all aware of that. We've been through it before. We don't need to go through it again. But we've all been waiting for the first cards to be announced, you know? Like, there's been no UFC cards for 2026 announced yet. And we're like, what the fuck is going on? Like, it's December. The new year is in less than 30 days. And we don't know what fights we're going into the new year with. Oh, yeah. We get an announcement the other day. Uncle Dana is going to make a big announcement at halftime of a big NFL game, right? I don't watch the NFL. I've just been told it's a big game. So he made this announcement on CBS, I believe, which is like one of the biggest networks in the States. Just cracked a fresh can of Celsius, ladies and gentlemen. So let me take a little sip of this. Anyway, Dana jumps on and he does pretty much what we knew he was going to do, okay? He announces the first two cards of 2026. Now, UFC 324, we'll get to it, but UFC 325 is happening in Sydney, Australia, ladies and gentlemen, and oh my lord, I have said countless times on this podcast before, it's one of my absolute dreams to go to a UFC live event. And look, best case scenario, I said it in the past. I'm like, even if it's a fight night or something, I think I'm just going to pull the trigger and go because I just need to go to a UFC event. I need to experience that atmosphere. I need to see some of these fighters in real life. Best case scenario, okay? Best case scenario is the UFC brings another marquee event, what would be referred to as a pay-per-view of the previous model. I guess, how are we going to refer to them from now on? I don't know. Guess I'm going to have to do a bit of research about that. Anyway, UFC 325. UFC is returning to Australia, and they've already announced the headline fight for it. One of my favorite fighters of all time, Alexander Volkanovski, is defending his belt against Diego Lopes. So they have fought again. They've fought in the past. Volk got the win there, and it's time for him to defend his 145 belt in his hometown of Sydney. Now, look, I've said it. I want to be there, but the fact that Volk is headlining in his hometown, he's 38, 39 years old. He's got the belt. If he wins this, even if he loses it, I reckon rumors have been circulating around the water cooler, and I tend to agree, okay? I think this has all been molded perfectly to be Alexander Volkanovski's retirement fight. Win, lose, or draw, I think he's going to pull the gloves off in the Octagon in Sydney and say, that's it for me. I've got to retire. I've got the wife. I've got the kids. My cooking channel on YouTube has taken off. So I think that's it. I think we need to be there. Do we take the podcast to UFC Sydney and potentially do like a live broadcast? Do we try and get Volk on the podcast before his title defense in Sydney? Who knows? But there's some negative. Oh, should we just talk about that now? Yeah, fuck it. Let's talk about that now, and then we'll get to UFC 324, which is before that. So it's crazy the way that I'm going about shit today. But you know what? Who cares? There's no structure. We're just talking fights, talking shit, just making it fucking happen. But let me scroll down because I actually had this last. There has been an uproar in the fight world of Diego Lopes getting the rematch with Volkanovski. Like, Volk beat him pretty convincingly. Like, I'd have to go back and watch the fight in full, but I don't remember it being close at all. I remember Volk putting on an absolute vintage Volk clinic. And a lot of people are like, why the fuck does Lopes get a rematch? There is some beasts that probably deserve the rematch. One of them is Tsarukyan, Arman Tsarukyan. Everyone thought he might be next. Everyone thought that, who's the other fighter that just got a win? English dude. It's going to come to me. It's not going to come to me. You guys know who the fuck I'm talking about. Why didn't I write that down? Anyway, it'll come to me when I'm reading through this, and I'll just blurt his name out for some reason. But it's the big news from all these fights being announced is it would seem that rather than the UFC doing the, in quotation marks, the correct thing or the right thing, they have gone for more marketable names, more big names that they know are going to make their new network happy. They're going to bring eyeballs into the first few cards. And again, I've heard a few people go back and forth about this, and I tend to agree with some people I've heard say this, but I think we're going to have to put up with the first 3 to 4 months of the new deal of just being big names getting title shots. Like Kamaru Usman, for example. He hasn't had a fight in probably 12 months. But his name is being thrown around now for a title opportunity against Khamzat Chimaev, which is absolutely insane with how stacked that division is and who's getting wins and things like that. And for Usman to jump the queue purely because of his name, I don't know. It's a bit rich, but similar circumstances in the lightweight division. Lightweight? I think it's lightweight. Yeah, let me have a read here because I swear it's just doing my head in now. I can't think about anything else other than that English dude's fucking name. I should Google it while I'm going. But the other fight that I was about to talk about that got announced. So it came out this week that Ilia Topuria vacated his belt, and we now have an interim fight between Paddy the Baddy, Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje. Again, two huge names, not necessarily... You could make the argument that some people deserve the fight more than him. English fighter... Sorry, guys. It's doing my fucking head in. Lerone Murphy. Of course it was him. Lerone Murphy. That's who Volk was supposed to fight next. And that would have been an absolutely insane fight. But people are saying that the UFC has more or less set Volk up with this easy fight. Again, I've done quotation marks with Diego Lopes in the hopes that he gets his fairy tale send-off. And my God, I hope he gets it. But let's get back to what the fuck we were just talking about. That last 3 to 4 minutes, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. That'd be somewhat unlistenable. But thanks for bearing with me. I just had to get that name or it'll eat me up the whole podcast. But anyway, so Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett for the interim title. And then, again, the winner of that more than likely will fight Ilia at the White House card, I would imagine. So Ilia came out this week and he said he basically has to step away from the sport for a little bit while he's got some things going on in his personal life. Since he made that statement, it has come out that him and his wife are going through a messy divorce and yada, yada, yada. And look, I don't blame him. I guess it could go one of two ways. He could either go in there and absolutely release some pent-up aggression against his opponent, or he could just go in there and not be thinking straight and get fucking knocked out And this dude that we have now built up as the next huge superstar, the perfect package, just gets knocked out and loses his whole legacy. So you can't blame the dude for doing that. But I am excited. Part of me thinks like, and again, this is a shitty thing to say, but part of me is like, is that a way to get himself a guaranteed spot on the White House card? Because realistically, whoever wins this interim title, they have to defend it within the next like 12 months or so at a fairly big card, you would imagine. And there's not going to be a bigger one than the White House card next year, which is, 6 months away? 5 to 6 months. So, yeah, who knows fucking what's going to happen there. But I've fucking jumped around all this new shit. I'm going back to the start and I'm going to refresh. And if I've got anything else to say on that shit, I will. I'll get back to it. But Lerone Murphy fucked me. Fuck you, Lerone Murphy. I wish you were coming to Australia to get your ass kicked by our boy Volk. So, UFC 324 got announced as well. That is the January card. And that is the one where Justin Gaethje will be fighting Paddy Pimblett for the interim title. We're not going to go into that anymore because we just went into it. The co-main. This is probably the one that I'm more excited about, if I'm being honest. We have the women's bantamweight title fight with the champion, Kayla Harrison. You guys know I've been on the bandwagon of hers for a little while. Up against, coming out of retirement, the women's GOAT, Amanda Nunes, is coming to take her belt back from Kayla Harrison. Now, there's been talk for as long as I can remember of Kayla Harrison needs to come to the UFC to prove herself. And this was all during Amanda's reign, okay? This was all during Amanda at her peak, winning both belts, and it never really happened. So now Kayla's come back. Kayla's come over to the UFC. She's won the title in pretty impressive fashion. Amanda was at the last fight, and she's jumped in the cage and gone, I reckon I can beat this chick. So I am so keen to see that and just see how exactly that plays out. And then the rest of that card is pretty fucking stacked as well. So I don't have that full lineup. But our boy, Atiba, what's his last name? Atiba Gauthier or something? He is in the early prelims of that card. So I was keen to see his face pop up again. But obviously we'll go into that more in depth when that card comes around. But what else did I have up there? Should I say an exclusive on the podcast? I don't even have this written down, but listeners of my regular show will know that I ran in. Okay, let's be vague about this. Let's be vague. I ran into a UFC fighter about a month or so ago, and they more or less told me that they were fighting in February, and the UFC Sydney card has landed in February. Again, one of my favourite fighters. So just another reason to go to UFC Sydney. Last thing in news and gossip this week that I had to touch on, it'd be silly not to talk about my boy Conor. Conor has found God again. He has gone to Tijuana, Mexico, and he has discovered the beautiful medicine of ibogaine. So ibogaine is basically this new age hallucinogenic drug, I believe. I've never done it, so I can just go off what I'm reading. And it pretty much gives you like a DMT experience, sort of. It gives you a different perspective on your life, or it people say it lets you like see into the future or shit like that. And that's what Conor's basically come out and said. He said he did ibogaine. It showed him his future. It showed him how he was going to die and how soon it was going to be from like all his partying and drugs and shit like that. And as soon as he came out of this treatment, he's a changed man, apparently. Now, I don't know. I don't know if we can fucking believe Conor. I don't know how many chances I've given this dude. Like, you put your heroes up on this pedestal and they just let you down time and time again. Then they come out of the Mexican rainforest and they're like, I've found God. And you're like, yes, you have, Conor. I fucking believe in you. I just want Conor to be spiritually aligned long enough to sign a contract. Please, Conor, please don't fucking let me down again. I cannot do it. One of my other heroes, John Cena, retires in like 1 week. I can't have Conor let me down as well. So that's pretty much it. Let's rip into the fucking card. I've been rambling for long enough. So let me take a sip of this delicious Celsius. That's good stuff. What flavour we got today? I think it's mango. Anyway, kicks off in the... Let me scroll down. I'm on the UFC website as well, so I just want to make sure I'm going through these in the correct order. Oh, I don't have them in the correct order. That's always good. So let's work from bottom to top. Kicks off in the featherweight division. We've got Muhammad Naimov versus Myron Santos. So both young prospects. I don't know if this is either of their debuts. I don't think it is. But they're both riding off a lot of hype, okay? I think these two are going to go in there and they're going to put on an absolute show and try and get the finish. And I think I'm going to go... Who have I got there? I'm looking at their records now live. I originally had Naimov by submission, but I do like the record of Santos, 17-1. Nah, let's stick to what I said. We're going to go Naimov versus Naimov by submission. Then we go to the middleweight division. We've got Mansour Abdul Malik versus Antonio Tricoli. My God, I'm getting good at this pronunciation, aren't I, guys? So, again, two young up-and-coming lions. These are both off like a regional circuit. And I think, again, they're just going to come in there and want to bang. What's his name? I'm just going to call him Malik. He's undefeated. So I think he is going to want to keep that O next to his name. I think we're either going to get a knockout by Malik or just a ground-out decision. Either way, I'm going to go Malik. Let's go Malik by decision. I think the bright lights of the UFC might get a bit too much for him for a finish in his first fight. Then we go light heavyweight division. We have, my God, this one has stumped me, guys. He is a Dana White Contender Series graduate. Iwo? IWO. How would you pronounce that? Iwo Brunewski versus Ebo Asian. No. God. That's his last name, guys. I didn't just... Okay, let's move on. Let's not even fucking touch that. Okay, again, two relatively unknowns. These are the whole pretty much early prelims until we get to the next two are relatively unknown. So this could be where we see like a birth of a superstar. This is why I like watching the early prelims, because come Monday, I could come in here and I could be blowing smoke up any one of these six fighters that we're just spoken about. But I think because he's the only one that I've really seen any like footage about, I'm going to go Baranewski, who's the Dana White Contender Series graduate, by decision. I just think most Contender Series graduates come out of it and they want to put on a clinic and prove they deserve to be in the UFC. Now we get on to the last two fights, and this is offensive to young Jimmy, okay? My God, to see Edson Barbosa on the early prelims, stabbed me in the heart. My God, just ripped my heart out and stomped on it on the floor. That is offensive. So, Edson Barbosa, one of the best kickboxers we've ever seen in the UFC. His leg kicks, insane. If you ever want to see a good leg kick highlight video, go to YouTube and just type in Edson Barbosa leg kicks. So he is fighting Jalen Turner. So again, another vet, I guess you'd call him, but he's got some heavy hands. He loves a knockout, but I can't go past my boy Barbosa. I'm going to go Barbosa. Let's go decision. I would like to think maybe a late finish, but I think it'll be a ground out decision. I think these two are going to respect each other too much to go super hard, but you never know. They might go in there and they might want to put on a good performance on their way out. Then again, on the early prelims, this guy was fighting for titles less than 2 years ago, I would have thought. We have Marvin Vettori versus Bruno Ferreira. So I'm going to go with this one. I've just got to... Again, my brain can't comprehend how Marvin Vettori is on an early prelim. So I understand he's had a few losses. He's on the downward slope, I suppose, but still, I think I'm just going to go Marvin Vettori. I think he's going to play it safe. He's going to keep the pressure on, and he's just going to get it done. Probably grind out a decision as well. So then we move on to the prelims. Let me scroll up here, see if I've got these ones in the right order. And no, I don't. Good work, James. Let me have a little sip of this before I carry on. All right, we kick off in the lightweight division. We've got Nazim Sadikov versus Faray Ziam. Pronunciation on point. So they are both actually no. Ziam is the more experienced fighter. So this is your typical striker versus grappler. So Ziam seems to be the grappler. I think if he can get this to the floor, I think it again. I was looking at this card. I don't see many finishes coming. Like, I think we're going to be. Hey, let's go on record. Let's go on record right now. I think this could be the most decision wins in UFC history. Okay, all these fights on this card, UFC 323 is going to go down as the most decision wins in UFC history. Clip that shit. Share it around on Monday. Mark my words. So yeah, I'm going to go ZM by decision. Then we go, here we go. Our first women's fight, I believe. We have Macy Barber versus Karine Silva. I know more about Macy Barber, to be honest. She was a young and upcoming prospect at one time when I was getting into the UFC relatively aggressively. And yeah, I'm pretty sure, I think she got found on Dana White and Matt Serra used to do like this little YouTube show where they'd go around regional shows and stuff and find young and up-and-coming talent. Dana White looking for a fight. That was it. It's ringing a bell for some reason that I think she was off that. But again, striker versus grappler. Silva is the grappler. She's Brazilian. She's ready to go. And Macy Barber just usually sticks to her striking. So I am hoping Macy Barber gets the win. Yeah, let's go Macy Barber in that one. Again, probably decision. All right. This one. I'm actually keen for this one, okay? The lightweight division, we've got Terrence McKinney versus Chris Duncan. Now, I genuinely think these two, don't get me wrong, if you've skipped everything up until this point, if you haven't paid for fucking your Disney Plus this week or something, don't renew your subscription until you get to this fight, because these two are about to throw down. So Terrence McKinney, he is always dangerous. He's long, he's lanky, and he just seems to get like these fast finishes in. Like before you even know, he's just let this explosive shot off, and he's found himself another highlight knockout. So Chris Duncan, I don't know as much about him, but I think he's going to have his hands full with this one. I'm going Terrence McKinney by KO or TKO. Then we go final fight on the prelims. We have Grant Dawson versus Manuel Torres. So what have I got there? Grappler versus, what the fuck have I written there? So Torres seems to just grind out a decision, I think is what I was trying to write up there. But yeah, Dawson, he's the better wrestler. He's the better grappler. I've got to go Dawson by decision, hopefully submission. I'm hoping he can get a sub just to boost some light into this card, boost some life into this card. Not light, sorry. I don't know why I record these UFC breakdowns after a big day at work, because my brain is zapped right now. But anyway, let's go on to the main card. It's a decent main card. It's definitely not my favorite. If there was not one specific fighter coming up that was on this card, I probably 90% wouldn't pay for it. But we've got one of our can't get any worse boys on here, and we've got to support him. So let's kick it off. The first fight, Jan Blachowicz versus Bogdan Guzdov. So Blachowicz, he needs to get back into title contention talk. He fought for the title, a year ago or so? And he's relatively forgotten about, to be honest. Like I'll put my hand up. I somewhat forgot he even existed until he popped up on this card. So I think he's going to want to go in there. He's going to want to, I think he's going to obviously want to go a finish, but this Bogdan dude, I think he means business. I've got here, he's on a 4-finish win streak. So, do I change my decision? That is actually impressive. 4 finishes. Nah, let's go it. Let's stick to Blachowicz. I think his veteran ways are gonna get him the win, and I think he's gonna play it safe. Yeah, let's go Blachowicz by decision. Bantamweight division, Henry Cejudo versus Peyton Talbot. So I'm excited for this one. This is one of the fights that I'm looking forward to. So Cejudo comes back after a pretty lengthy time off. To be fair, I don't even know where Henry Cejudo is in his career. He's retired, he's come back, he's retired again, he's come back. I think he just comes back when he needs some money. So Henry Cejudo, he Olympic gold medalist. I think he won 2 in the Olympics. He's a 2-division UFC champion. He's done it all, and he's come back again to fight this young and up-and-comer. So I'm a bit of a fanboy of Peyton Talbot. So he's a young up-and-comer, got a lot of power, and he's got a pretty impressive win streak behind him as well. But does he have what it takes to take down a vet with the resume that we just rattled off of Henry Cejudo? Oh, my God. Henry Cejudo, sorry. The safe bet on this is to go Henry Cejudo, but I'm going to go the underdog. I'm going to go the dog on this one. I'm going to go Peyton Talbot with a KO upset win. I think he's going to knock out Henry Cejudo. I don't even know. Cejudo's been knocked out, I'm pretty sure. Let's go Peyton Talbot by knockout. All right, then we go to the flyweight division. We have Brendan Moreno versus Tatsuro Taira. This whole card is basically just past champions versus young up-and-coming lions. So I've only just realised that as I was going through these last few. So Brendan Moreno, he is a previous champion of the flyweight division. He's looking to stay relevant. Let's say that. He's looking to stay there. He's had a couple of shots at the title after he lost it. And, he just hasn't really had any luck. But I think he's going to want to go in here and fight this new dude. I can't say I recall seeing this dude on many lineups before. So I've got here that he's an up-and-comer with a lot of speed and a lot of hunger. So, again, to my demise, I've got to stick to what I know, and I've just got to go Brendan Moreno. I'm hoping that his fight IQ and his experience in the UFC is just going to be enough to grind out a decision with this young gun. But who knows what's going to happen in that fight. This dude could come in and impress us all, get a crazy knockout or some shit, but we're just not going to know. But something that I do know, one of our favourite fighters in the UFC gets his title shot. The next fight is in the flyweight division, and it is for the flyweight title. We have Alexandre Pantoja, who is seen as one of the best examples of a mixed martial artist we have seen in many years. But because he's so small, he doesn't really get the recognition that he deserves, much like Mighty Mouse back in the day. He is going up a bit against our boy, Joshua Van. My God, I am so glad I'm on record on this podcast of once Joshua Van made his debut, I was like, this kid's got something. Let's keep an eye on him. And now here we go. About 2 years later, he is up there and he's getting his first title shot. So let's break it down, guys. Obviously, you guys know where my head wants to go, but he has to get through. I reckon, let's think about it. I was about to say, I think this could be the hardest title to win at the UFC, in the UFC at the moment. But, I mean, in the main, we've got Merab. I don't see anyone beating him. Spoiler alert for the next one. Khamzat Chimaev is a champion now. Don't know if anyone's going to beat him. Who else have we got? Pereira? Who the fuck's going to beat that guy? I mean, he's been beaten before, but we have some absolute crazy champions at the moment now that I think about it. But Pantoja he's a beast. He is such a good fighter all round. He can get submissions. He can get knockouts. He can strategically outscore you in a decision. But I think the one we've got to talk about, Joshua Van, he is the underdog. I wonder what his odds are. He would have to be one of the biggest underdogs on this card for sure. But he's riding into this on a lot of momentum. I hope he just shocks the division. I hope he shocks the world. He gets in there. He just goes in there and he just does what he does best. He goes in there fearless and just tries to land that finish. I feel like if Pantoja just underestimates his aggression and Joshua Van just gets in there, God, I fucking hope it happens. It would have to happen early. So first or second round knockout. I don't even think Pantoja's ever been knocked out. So he would win the title and be the first person to knock out Pantoja. My God, let's fucking go, Joshua Van. Let's do a smart bet on this one. Smart bet, Pantoja. The bet that we want, Joshua Van. We are riding all in with our boy, Joshua Van. Let's fucking get it done. My God, I'm going to be screaming, jumping off my couch, just running around the front yard if Joshua Van gets that strap wrapped around his waist. Then we go on to the main event. Merab Davish. Oh, fuck. Usually I fucking nail his name. Merab Dvalishvili versus Peter Yan. So these guys have fought before as well. Merab obviously got the win. And I just don't see how this fight plays out any other way than Merab getting his historic 4th title defense of the year. If he defends his title in this fight, he breaks the record for the most UFC title defenses in a calendar year, which is absolutely insane. He's the most active champion we've got. And, we might as well give him the record now. I do not see how this plays any other way. Unless Peter Yan has done something crazy since the last time they fought. I mean, I know he's racked up another couple of good wins to get to this point, but Merab is he's a beast. I say it every time he fights. Unreal. So I can't go Merab by finish. As much as I'd love to see him get a couple more finishes, it's just not his fighting style. So let's go Merab by decision. And that wraps up our breakdown. Let's get in to what we're all here for. Our Can't Bet Any Worse multi for UFC 323, voted by you guys, the listeners, on Instagram via a poll. We have Merab with 87% of the votes. We've got Pantoja with 64% of the votes. And we've got Talbot with 71% of the votes, giving us a combined multi of $2.42, which pretty safe numbers compared to what we've been throwing around as of late. So I'm feeling confident. As much as I want Joshua Van to get the win, like I said in the breakdown, Pantoja is a smarter one. But just secretly, guys, I'm going against you. I'm going all in on Joshua Van. I love that guy. But that's been our UFC breakdown for UFC 323, guys. I hope you enjoy the fights on Sunday. I always go to say Saturday because it's Saturday in America, so all the promos and shit are like this Saturday. But it's Sunday here for us in the great land of Australia. I haven't fucking written down anything to plug this week. It's been a crazy week, which we will get into next Monday when programming returns to usual. I don't fucking know. I told you my brain's fried. My brain is fried, guys. There we go. I got it out. But if you want to get in touch with the show, send submissions via DM to Can't Get Any Worse Podcast on Instagram, or send me an email at can'tgetanywOrsePod@gmail.com. I appreciate all you guys. Keep liking, keep sharing, keep rating the podcast, and I will see you later.
Can't get any worse, we'll make you see. There's always a silver lining.